problem solver. And so I think the industry has done better in vetting that out. Now, if you look at us today, it plays to our advantage. When Nick and I or anyone on our team talks to someone, the first thing we're looking at is not their financials. It's not even their experience sometimes. It's their passion for the industry, the food, and specifically for the Great Greek. If we have that person, then it goes to the other pieces. And so I do think the how people approach and look has changed quite a bit. It's actually to our advantage because we really do have some amazing franchisees and operators who are spot on committed. So I feel like that commitment when we get to the end piece is better than it was 10 years ago.
Okay.
But to your point, it's a little bit more going through, but knowing what you want. Like for us, we don't require someone has restaurant experience. I will tell you many times, some people's restaurant experience is not very good. They weren't very good operators. But when you got someone who's really passionate about food and passionate about people, that's what really feeds into our brand. That's really the heart of our brand. And so we've been able to attract those people where they come from all over. We don't just say, hey, we're going to look in one narrow sauce. We're on the internet. We do shows still. We network. We have our business broker network. So those leads, in fact, we just had a review meeting last week, and we have probably about 20 different sources, and they're all kind of even in where we get our transactions. There's not one that stands out and says, this is it. And that's not so much change in the business. Typically, they do come from all over. But yeah, it's been interesting. There has been a change. I think for the better. I think we end up with a better operator. You have to be committed and passionate about this business if you want to really thrive in it. And so that lends well to us in that area.
So do the best franchisees have restaurant experience, or I know some of them don't, and they've done well too, but do you prefer that they have restaurant experience because they know what's going to hit them when they open the doors or when they sign the agreement?
Yeah, I mean, it can be really beneficial, but it could also be a drawback depending on what their experience is. I would say, in general, our best operators come from a business background, whether they were a business owner or they worked for a company that required really, really active and dynamic problem solving, right? And team building. Like if you can build a team, I can take you in this business and I don't care where you came from. If you can connect with people, build your frontline team and the customer, Nick can teach you how to make the food. We can teach you how to do great in this business as long as you follow and you're disciplined and you do those things. So the people who know that piece of building that team, the value of it, they're very disciplined in that approach. That's number one. Number two is they have some financial acumen. And I would say in franchisees who struggle, those are the two things that struggle. And the ones who thrive is they really get financially what moves. They understand top line is the way to wherever you want to go. As much as you want to cut costs, it's all top line. And our best operators, that's what they do. They grow their business, they build their teams, and we have tremendous success. And I will say our top 3 operators, none of them had franchise experience with restaurants.
Yeah. And you have to buy a package, 3 or 5. You can't buy one, Great Greek.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do a single restaurant if it makes sense. 3 to 5 is what I say is our sweet spot, unless someone's really well capitalized and can really grow quickly. We'll entertain those things. But if we have the right person who wants to do a single unit and it's in the right market, today we're not shy of that. We'll go after that. 4 years ago, a lot more challenging. Going back to your supply question, we're able to meet those challenges a lot better because we're better at it, a lot easier because we have built up our partners in that way. It comes down to that person. Nick will meet someone, or I'll meet someone and say, "What do you think of that?" And we're like, "Man, I don't know about that person," but we get the guy. Man, they are passionate, really smart, built previous business. That's the kind of thing that we're looking. If you give us someone who will work, passionate, can build a team, um, it's easy enough to execute our menu. But dealing with people, you have to have some. You have to develop that skill set.
And how about financially? What do you want people to have in order to open over time, 3 to 5?
Yeah, I mean they need to be well capitalized and financed, and that comes in a lot of different ways from a liquidity standpoint. Per restaurant, they're going to need to be about 200, 250 thousand to 300 in liquid cash, depending on the bank and maybe their banking relationships. And if they're doing 5 restaurants, we want to make sure that they're going to have the capability of funding those 5, because there's part of this is speed to market. Vegas is a great example. The more restaurants Nick opens, it's lifting up the sales. I think he mentioned when he bought the Henderson location, they were doing 1.2 million. I'll let him share with you what they did last year if you'd like, but it's immense. But we're seeing that, and you see that in the history of any brand. The more you get placed well, operated well, it's going to drive the average unit volumes up. So we want to make sure people have the capability financially, and many times it doesn't come in one person, right? It's a partnership.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's been we try to take a dynamic approach. It always comes down to who that individual is. We have great banking relationships on the financing side, so we're able to really get the funding for people, and it works. It's working really well, and we have
Right.
some great partnerships on that side.
So, Nick, that opens the door for you to talk about your Henderson, your original unit did 1.2 million when you opened. What are you doing now?
The last FTD, we were just shy of 2.4. So after 7+ years, we almost doubled the business. And again, it wasn't so much a slow grind. We did, we bought it. It was doing 1.2. We went to 1.4, 1.5.5, 1.7. Just that slow organic growth. And then COVID hits, and it was a bigger increase. And yeah, it's been amazing to see some of the numbers out of that 1,400 square foot location. I mean, it's north of $150 a square foot per year. No drive-through, no breakfast day part. I mean, it's the most efficient store. It's the most efficient thing I've ever been a part of. But yeah, and now we've had stores eclipse that. I mean, our best year in one of our stores was just shy of 2.8 million. So we've moved some amazing. Again, working in casinos, in buffets, I've served 4,000, 5,000 people a day, but it seems harder to do 400 people out of a Great Creek than 4,000 people through a buffet. But we managed to do it.
And have you ever considered that you would have drive-through? Is that a possibility?
I think kind of a modified drive-through. If we find the right location here in Las Vegas, we're going to do kind of just the pickup window drive-through, right? I mean, we are a cook-to-order brand. We are something that you don't talk into a speaker and you pull up and you get your food in a minute and a half. So I've seen other concepts doing just the pickup only, the call aheads, the Uber Eats, the DoorDashes. Again, that's a third of your business. To make that efficient, helps too. And the call aheads, everyone's ordering online and mobile apps and all that type of stuff. So we're going to find the right location to do a drive-through, but it's going to be just the pickup only. Pre-orders in advance, third-party aggregators. I think that just helps, to Bob's point, when you look at a building, it's like, is this easily accessible for my pickup, for my to-goes, for my delivery partners? So it's not more how many seats I can get, it's how accessible is it. Am I on the PM side of the road? Do I have a hard corner? Is there a light? All that kind of stuff is more important now for the ease of access for cars. So we're probably going to do that drive-through, but it's going to be pickup and third-party only.
So one of our viewers is asking about how you find labor costs impacting the overall efficiency and profits at your locations, which is a topic we want to talk about because that's always today a big concern in the food industry. These California labor costs in other parts of the country. How are you dealing with labor costs? How are franchisees dealing with this?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
before you answer, Craig and his family are big time Great Greek fans, and he's hoping to get the bill down a little bit, but his family doesn't seem to be cooperating.
Good.
Yeah, labor cost. Again, here in Las Vegas, it went up over 5 years, 75 cents a year. We're at $12 now, far from the $20 minimum wage in California. And again, it's just trying to be efficient with our labor, trying to be so. So once we got to 3 stores, it was like, we got to figure out this labor piece. So we then came up with a commissary kitchen within the Great Greek. So, when I say everything is made in store, it is. And maybe it's made in 1 store now, and daily we distribute it to all the other stores. So we're still true to our brand. We're still true to who we are. But now instead of having 3 or 4 prep cooks in every single restaurant, I've got 4 in 1 location, making all the dressing and shipping it around every day, making all the tzatziki and all that stuff. So, it's understanding that labor piece. We've got a franchisee in Michigan who just put in some kiosks, which, again, we're still kind of in testing mode to maybe fade a little bit of labor on the front side. The last thing we want to do is impact guest experience, because we're really proud of that guest experience that we do. But for that person who's there just simply for the speed and let me get in and out, let me order it quickly. So, we're not cutting corners on quality. We're not shaving gyro meat at 4 a.m. and putting it in a cooler or a warmer and serving it. So we can't cut those costs, but we're being efficient on prep, maybe a little bit on the service side. And, again, the last thing we want to do is just pass all those costs on to the customer. It's just, I don't want to do that. I don't think it's fair. So we're trying to do everything we can internally. And Bob might be able to speak to more what some of the franchisees outside of Vegas are doing. But, we're doing everything we can, obviously, to keep those costs at a minimum, or those price increases at a minimum to the customers.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Bob, did you want to add to that conversation first before my question?
Yeah, just quickly, because it's such an important topic. When you talk about labor cost and efficiency, you have to slice that apart, because costs themselves are different in different parts of the country as we're expanding. Whether if you're in California, completely different where I am in Texas, or Nick in Las Vegas, or in the Northeast. What our team does is we look at the efficiency, right? So what is the amount of sales that we can generate out of a labor hour? And so when you look at our brand, we can take that metric and compare it across the universe, basically. So we want to make sure that we're delivering the tools for that efficiency to our operators. And Nick, over the years, has really developed easier to execute menu prep. If you're a 5-unit, operator, and you can do a commissary kitchen, that's great. But we have a lot of single and 2, and it's really making sure that they're efficiently operated. Then those costs of their area get applied. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our approach is really understanding how we can be most efficient. What are the costs in the area that we're in? And then are we able to still give a great value and make sure we're profitable? And I think that's the piece that we've separated from other brands, is that we've had the ability and we had the equity built up in taking some price increases where others haven't. And that's been really important, that our operators are executing so they can do that. And when we look at our profits, it becomes more profitable when you build that equity and you can execute. And that's what we're starting to see. The future for us, the next 12 months, never look better in terms of being efficient operators, maintaining our value, and just having a great experience for the Great Greek.
Interesting. Building on what John's been talking about, one of the significant changes that I've observed in franchise recruitment, and has been accelerated during our COVID years, is that the operators have shifted. The sophisticated multi-unit operators are looking to add a brand to their portfolio, and those sophisticated potential franchisees with a lot of capital and business experience, maybe not in restaurant, have shifted from how do I build out the market? They still think that's important. How do we do site selection? How do we do build outs? But really, they're asking a great deal more questions on what is your tech stack? What's your innovation program in technology? How are you delivering support services? How do all those things work and play well together? And that is the big dynamic shift in what prospective multi-unit franchise operators want to know, because they don't want to have a great brand with great food and the technology leaves it behind.
Like especially in your selection of POSs.
Yes.
That's where you see the biggest change. Right? 8 years ago, people would have put up with a crummy POS. That will simply not do these days.
Yeah,
So,
it's such a hot topic
yeah.
in our industry now, and Nick would, I'm sure, agree with me. We're restaurant guys and development guys, and we're learning to be technology forward thinking. And the technology is moving so fast. We've been in situations where we've evaluated something. By the time we got to the end of our evaluation of who we want to choose, someone else or two other people have emerged with technology that, oh my God, we need to take a look at this. So it is a challenge for for an executive. The good side is some really great things are coming into the market. And for us, we have to always figure out implementation, right? The tech companies will promise the world they got all these great things, but it comes down to the implementation of that. So there's some really good POS companies. We're upgrading our POS into our, one of our big focus was our online digital journey, and how to make that much more a seamless and better experience for our customer. We're actually starting to roll that out in 2 weeks, along with our a loyalty and reward program. And we found we were just best by choosing leaders in the categories and let them allow to help us to stay in front of the curve. And so we've kind of become more of, are we with the right people? First, technology second, and we're finding the right groups who are leading the technology are also the right ones who are pushing our stack. It is a conversation that we have with everybody, but I always like to say, the history and past success is the best indication of what's going to happen in the future. And at UFG, we've always been committed to bringing in the most current technologies. Support for our franchisees is immense. So we're able to show that even in our other brands. I think we have 4 or 5 brands that are world leading in their category. And we feel like Great Greek's going to be the same thing. So we have a little bit of a track record we can show on that front. And I'll just end by saying this. We do a lot of collaboration with our franchisees. Nick had mentioned a test that we're doing in the Metro Detroit area on kiosks. It's something that we don't know if it's going to be a needle mover or not. It might be more important in California than it is in Las Vegas or Texas. But we're flexible to look at those things and see where they apply, because this is business doesn't happen the same all over the country, all over the world. So we have to be flexible to that. But it is challenging. It's one of the biggest challenges in the business is an executive staying up with the right technology. There's also still quite a bit of silo in technology, and that's an immense challenge. And we're seeing more integrations coming forward, but it's still a huge challenge. So but we feel like we're doing good at it. When again, it's picking the right leaders in the field, and it's going to start to change, the experience that our guests are having online, and that's a big initiative for us right now.
Do you have an app for ordering, and are people how is that working for customers if you have one?
Yeah, so our app is actually just going to roll out in 2 weeks. We partnered with Punch. Punch is one of the leading reward loyalty companies. They integrate with our POS provider, which is Toast, which is also a leader. And then online, we're going to be starting to implement Olo. So we feel like that trio right there is really going to change the experience online, where it's been a little clunky for us in the past. It's part of a growing brand is to eliminate that clunkiness. So we have some great partners. In the next 2 weeks, those will be going out, so you will be able to order on your app. More importantly, most of the customers are ordering via mobile. We want to make sure that mobile online ordering link is seamless. Not everybody wants to be in a rewards loyalty. So we feel like the biggest impact is what's going to happen online, and especially mobile.
Let me ask you this, since we're talking about ordering and ordering ahead, and you've got some things rolling out on that. Greek food seems to me to be a brilliant thing to cater for a party. How big is your catering or business now, and do you see that going? Where do you see that going?
I'm gonna let Nick start with that on the impact it's had on his business, and then I can give you kind of what the whole brand looks like. But I remember the first time I met Nick, he said there's one thing that scares me is catering. So I'm even curious to hear how he answers that piece.
Yeah, it scared me because I had a 3-foot charbroiler in a 1,400 square foot store, and I had to line out the door. So I'm like, how the heck am I going to do a $400 catering and $2,000 catering when I'm trying to service these customers in my 26-seat restaurant? Terrified me. Bob wore me down over the years, and it was like, you have to embrace this catering thing, And again, I was taking baby steps. And when, and it was 1% of our sales, it was very, very small. I was embracing it when COVID hit, but when COVID hit, I mean, that's when it was open arms, and I got to really embrace this thing. And we did some huge caterings right at the onset of COVID that really propelled the brand. I think our one location that it was open 1 year, it did 1.4 million. The next in 2020, the year of COVID, it did 2.1. We increased 50% over 1 year during COVID. And a lot of that was catering. A 550 person individual catering at Bank of America call center propelled the brand. I think that store, 10% of the people knew who we were. I got my food in front of 500 other people at one time and became lifelong customers, I think. So, we cater the Las Vegas Raiders during their training camp. I'm doing backyard parties for their executives now, and we're so just catering just mushrooms, and it's so important, And again, Bob pushed and pushed and pushed, and I wasn't digging in my heels. I was just kind of cautious. Now we have a catering manager. She's out there every day. In our 7 Las Vegas stores, we probably do 9 caterings a day out of our 7 stores. We've catered the Titus Center a couple times.
Yes, you have, very nicely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's been remarkable. And then the residual business you get from the catering, that's the stuff you can't kind of put a number on. I can see how much catering I did. Catering represents about 5% of my sales now, and I think in 2 years it's going to double because we're just growing at a ridiculous rate.
Does the catering manager, when they're doing their marketing, do they differentiate and segment their marketing towards the C-suite of a small company, 10, 12 people, small office catering, the stuff that Panera has been famous for, the stuff that Chipotle bringing in a taco bar has been famous for, even before the COVID. Are they focused on that, or are they focused on more the large event catering?
So no, it's it's that 20-person office that puts $350 in your drawer with our Euro kit. They have a taco bar, we have a Euro kit, right? Same thing. But it's that 30-person office that gives us a $400, $500 catering in the drawer before. And when I say we do 9 or 10 caterings, most of them are that, $300, $400 catering in that small office. Now on the weekends, we'll do the car dealerships. We'll do some of the bigger caterings on occasion. We did a wedding reception, like a $5,000 wedding reception the other night in someone's backyard. So we get some of those, but the core catering business is that medical office of 30 people, $400 before you open your doors. That to me is the wheelhouse for us.
Well, I think that's a sweet spot for sure, because you can get a lot more of them and they repeat themselves. Because you know what? Do you have an executive meeting at your company every week? You probably do. And sometimes you want to feed those people because it's better to let them stay in the office and work while they eat than to go off and do what they normally would do. And they feel better about it. It builds esprit de corps.
No question. And being in the Greek space, it is something different. Again, I love Panera as much as the next guy. But again, a sandwich with a box of, with a bag of chips and an apple and a little water, I think that's kind of been done over time. To have a Euro kit with some, souvlaki skewers and some hummus and some tzatziki and rice pudding, a little bit different. It's a little bit different. And I think people are experimenting a little bit more and to go outside the box, so to speak.
Well, let me ask you another question, and both of you can answer. How do you get people to say Euro instead of gyro? How do you do it? How do you do it?
We don't. We take the order however they say it. Gyro, hero, hyro, gyro, euro. We know what they mean, and we'll make it for them anyways. So it doesn't matter.
And you guys don't know this, but Mike's parents live in Greece.
Oh, okay.
He was just out there a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So, but no, I think you're right on the catering because the whole what we're seeing, and I think COVID just emphasized this is you got foot traffic and you got web traffic, and the web traffic isn't there necessarily to just pick up. They may be there to do, okay, it's time for the event, our weekly event. Give me my gyro kit.
Yeah, and it's amazing the repeat customers you get, and you get in with those pharma reps, those medical reps. That's another business in and of itself, But yeah, catering has been
How are your franchisees finding these catering opportunities, and what are you guys doing to help them, use their marketing budget? Is this considered part of local marketing, or is it a brand marketing fund helping them? How do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's a dual effort, and I think if you look at this, the first and foremost most important item is to put a focus on it, because the impact for an operator is just tremendous. You want to talk about efficiency and labor costs, throw a couple of catering units on to that. You want to talk about expanding the awareness of the brand. There's no better advertising than them eating your food. And sometimes it's the first experience for someone maybe they hadn't been in a Great Week for a while, and they're like, oh man, why'd I stop going there? And they're going to come back. So first it's putting a focus on it. And we do that from the very beginning when someone opens their restaurant. So our marketing team, along with the operator, if they have a catering person or marketing person, will identify where the opportunities are in that specific market. Online, we're doing a lot, and it's just about promoting it from the brand. We have items to what they can do locally. So it's a dual approach, but more importantly is that we convey to the operators the importance of execution. They will keep coming back if you execute. If you don't, they won't come back. And we get many calls from customers of other restaurants saying, hey, can you do an order for me, Nick? I need it today by 11. Sorry about the short notice. Other guy couldn't handle it. Yep, we got you. We take care of you, that person. So we're doing a little situational awareness with our operators and our franchisees so they can thrive in that space. Sometimes it's not preparing the food. That's the hard part. It's making sure it gets to that place and getting set up
Yeah.
on time. So we make sure that our franchisees get trained through the whole, every aspect from procurement to delivery to even follow up with that customer and leaving behind some what we call bounce backs for them to come back to the restaurant and maybe get a dessert on us. But it could have huge impact on the brand. Last year, we were about 2.5% of sales we're probably about 40 million in sales. This year, about 100 million. We'll probably end up about a tick over 5% for the brand. When I break that down to our restaurants that are a little bit more mature, right? We probably now finally have people. Our goal is to get to 20%, and we now see some of our more mature stores that are gonna not just hit that, gonna surpass that in the next year or two. And that is just, I can't emphasize how powerful and impactful it is to the financial performance of the restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. Your cash on cash return story gets very, very good when you're doing, out of the same spot, you're doing, from 5 to 20% catering. Yeah, that makes
I'm waiting for Nick to call me and say, Michael, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to do the catering. I'm not going to do these customers. They're too demanding when they come one by one.
No, because you still want to get them coming back to the restaurant for the cookie, for the baklava.
The best advertising we can do is our
No,
catering program.
that's exactly right. Right, as long as it's executed well. And it's hard though, because in the restaurant you can see when people are screwing up. You can't see what they're doing, when they're off out of the restaurant. You might hear about it, but that's too late.
Michael, the other really important point to mention that we didn't touch on is being in the Mediterranean space. I would say our food is the most cross-cultural food that there is. It resonates with almost any culture. And today, the workforce is so diverse. HR, whoever's ordering the food, has to be cognizant that, hey, do I have enough options here for vegetarian, not meat eaters? Do I have healthy and chicken, salad? So if you want to just think about the trends that are happening in why and how and for who these companies or whoever it is are ordering, the Raiders are a good example. Raiders aren't bringing in burgers. Okay, they want to make sure that high priced athlete is eating healthy, as it is in most workforces. So our ability to be able to check off the box, if you need vegetarian, you want protein and meats, you want salad, you want something that looks really pretty, right? It's going to look good in any corporate environment. It's healthy. We check all those boxes, and that's why we see today, not just short term and even long term, this is the greatest opportunity for the Great Greek to keep expanding on growing that program. But it's right in line with all the trends that are happening with the consumers out there.
But then that goes back to your, your selection process. If you can get franchise operators saying, oh, well, okay, I understand where you're going to be at year 1 or year 2. But when I'm at year 4 or 5, because I've grown this out, now I get excited about that with the same team, or maybe 1 or 2 extra guys or gals, right?
Yeah.
I've gone up to like that. You get people who are thinking like that. Then when you sign them up to that multi-unit deal, they're going to execute on that.
Well, Mike, there's a corollary to that, somewhat indirect, but a corollary nonetheless. In the coffee business, when Starbucks opens up, the breakfast day part is the most routine of the day. So you have to break people away from whatever else they're doing to get their coffee. I think catering is the same thing. You open up a store on the corner of Main and Market, terrific location. Your catering business is not instant. The admin who takes care of the catering at the local car dealership they've already got their sources, and to dislodge those people, and those sources may be feeding that person for free, so it really makes it hard to dislodge them because they're eating free lunches because they're buying all this stuff. But building that part of a business, but in terms of building a residual in catering, now that's big, because over time it becomes hard casting your business, because now you have to be dislodged. Somebody else has to conquer your catering business because you're the incumbent.
Plus, also, if we go to what Bob was saying and Nick was saying, getting those good supplier prices, as more of your, income is that more predictable, people just believe your story a lot more, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
you keep posting increased sales per unit every year. The supplier notices that. Hey, they'll tell you before you notice it.
Yeah.
Because the orders are going up.
Yeah. All right, John, we're going to give you the last word on this because you've been so uncharacteristically silent for the last 2 minutes.
Well, I was trying to back off a little bit, and I know that we're up against time.
Ah,
But one thing I want to know,
Yeah.
Bob, what is your goal for sales for 2024, and where do you stand right now?
Franchise sales?
Yeah.
We're tracking pretty good. We're tracking probably our best year we've ever had. We'll be probably close to 40 transactions done, maybe another 70 or 80 in our pipeline. We started the year I think we're about 270 in our pipeline, over 300 now. So the sales from all fronts are really good. We've never had more opportunities to sign leases and get some great sites. Sales in the restaurants are up. So sales across the board is really promising. Fortunately for us, we have an amazing franchise sales and development team that really understands how to do this business right.
But as soon as Ray Titus sees this this recording, your sales numbers are going to increase.
Triple.
Your goal is going to increase.
Oh, he must be watching. My phone's ringing now.
Right.
He's saying, Bob, what is with this 40, buddy? We're looking at 200, buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah, listen, we're really proud of the brand and our team, and we love that Ray challenges us, and every day we just try to do a great job, and we're inspired and fortunate. For us, we got great partners like Nick and his partner Trent, but we just have a great brand. When you have great brands, and UFG has great brands, it's easy to come to work and rally around that. Exactly. And it's a lot of fun.
Good. All right, guys.
Very good. That was an excellent way to end. Thank you very much, guys.